So, welcome to part one of Cinematic Video for Beginners. I'm glad that you're here because I sat down with Bryen Trawick about talking to him about his short video called The Void. And the reason I did that is because I had a question. What is the cinematic look? How do you get the cinematic look? And I asked him some questions about not only how he made The Void, but of course, how can you get the cinematic look? And in this video, he talks about something that you may not associate with the cinematic look. So be sure that you stay tuned. This is a multi-part video series, and at the end of this video, I'll give a preview of what you can expect in the next one. So I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. It's so cool for me to say in person that I rarely do that with short films. Like if I watch something, I rarely go, oh my gosh, I have to watch this again. And I think I watched it another at least three times. Especially then when I read your blog, because I'm like, there's no way you did this on autofocus. So
Yeah.
please share the magic. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. I think that, so it was like right in the middle of the whole pandemic where everything was closed and, the circ performers, they're not working right now,
Uh-huh.
so then they want to they want to stay busy. So then we try to get these art projects to happen. And, then with Leah and all that, we kind of came up with the void, and I think she was like practicing for 2 months or something like that. And then Panasonic had sent me a camera the S1H to test out, and then so I figured, oh, this is the perfect like opportunity to test this out,
Right.
and I wanted to, because in the video she moves so much.
Yeah, but it's captivating. It really is.
Yeah.
It's
So I figured though, but with that, then with manual focus, it'd be almost impossible to pull focus from
right.
the where
Because
she's at. Um, and for some reason, a lot of people, knock on autofocus on Panasonic, which is kind of interesting. But I tweaked the
yeah.
settings, I made it faster, uh, and then it worked great.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I was pretty excited about that actually worked out. I
hmm
mean, it only took us maybe 5 to 6 hours for the whole shoot.
So let's talk about how you decided on the lenses, the aperture, right? Aperture
Yeah.
triangle. Getting this down finally, starting to. It's in progress. So let's talk. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing when it comes to like aperture and shutter speed and all that kind of stuff, exposing right. I think that's really where you get your style and the look that you want.
Okay.
I think nowadays it's people always want that blurry background.
Right. Right.
And I think that might work sometimes, but at least for me, I really like to save those really for more intimate moments, where
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want the background to be blurry all the time. Um,
Okay.
I think my goal is, with our eyes, with our peripheral,
Mm-hmm.
it's like soft, right? It's kind of, but it's not really blurry. You can still kind of tell what it is, and that's kind of when
Right.
I shoot. I want to kind of mimic that.
Okay.
Um, so with the Void, we did shoot with a 16 to 35 f4, so it's a wider lens, and
Mm-hmm.
then that was on the gimbal, and then on sticks, so the tripod, we had the 70 to 200,
Okay.
um, and that was because that was kind of off away from her
Uh-huh.
and zoomed in, so you can get those kind of panning close-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then with that, we shot it f4 or 5.6. so that way we have more in focus. Because
Okay.
again, when she's moving so much, it'd be
Uh-huh.
different if she was kind of static and not really moving.
Right.
But because the movement, sometimes, I didn't really want her to go in and out of focus.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That would have been kind of weird.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I don't think it would have the punch that it has.
mm-hmm,
If everything was kind of soft and she was going in and out.
mm-hmm.
Um, so even at some points, we were shooting at f8, which then you get a lot more field of focus, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
So I think that with that whole thing, it's that balance game of you have to really think about, well, why am I shooting at this f-stop? And then even shutter speed, because the movement, we had to shoot at a higher shutter speed,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Instead of because we shot all this at 4K at 60. So
Mm-hmm.
the rule is, you double your shutter speed to whatever your frame rate is,
Right.
which would have been 120
20.
frames.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, because she's moving so fast, that you actually want to, bring your shutter speed up even higher,
Uh-huh.
so that movement is sharper.
Right. Because she's moving, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So then I figured that, at 120, it's still pretty sharp, but I want it even sharper, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
maybe shutter speed 240 or something like this,
Right.
just that extra kind of sharpness on the movement.
So did
So that
you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
so that's where it's hard, right? Because then you have you're not shooting with a fast lens or a fast aperture. You have 4 or 5, 6, which you lose kind of a lot of light. Then
Mm-hmm.
you're at a higher shutter speed where you also lose light. So then the next thing
Right.
was to do, and one of the reasons why I wanted to shoot with this camera is because they say it's really good in low light. It has a
Mm-hmm.
dual native ISO, which then we can bump the ISO and not get grain.
Right.
So it's kind of that perfect
That's,
balance
yeah.
between setting wise
Mm-hmm.
and spec
Yes.
wise.
We keep hearing the cinematic look.
Yeah.
So what would you say best defines that? Is how would you define that?
It's hard because, I think nowadays it's people think that, a cinematic look is that blurry background,
That's,
or
yeah, that's kind of what I take it
yeah, it's
as.
but I think there's just way more to than just a blurry background. I think anybody, for me, what defines cinematic is